Coach, you go down to Gainesville. Of course, some missed opportunities, and the Gators ended up winning that one. You head back home to face the Georgia Bulldogs on Saturday. 5 straight losses, Coach. What is the challenge of making sure everybody stays united, stays close knit, and you're still working towards a goal this year? Because there's still a lot of football left to play. What is that challenge, and how do you approach that honestly and truthfully with your guys?
Oh, well, it's hard on us all. We put so much time and effort into this, and you only get so many opportunities to get results, and you're fighting for those results. And so there's an emotional and psychological, kind of toll, and then obviously as the season wears on, there's a physical toll as well. So it's a challenge. As far as keeping guys together and locked in, I think you rely on a foundation for that and a culture for that. And, it doesn't mean that you don't experience the weekend cycles. And that includes, after wins, a feeling of elation and excitement. And, Sundays there's pep in your step and you're ready to go. And then you got to reset. And what Don Meyer used to tell me is plan, prepare, and practice like you lost your last game. And what he meant by that was just to say you always have to level out and find the parts of your performance, even in a win, that you need to improve. Obviously, for us, we've been experiencing the other side of that, which is how the lack of result can take a toll. And so the Sundays have been tough. We've gotten in on Monday and addressed the things that we need to address that we want to improve upon. But on the whole, we've had bounce back from the players. I mean, this has been probably one of our best weeks of practice. It's been spirited and energized, and I think the coaches have done a nice job. We've made subtle adjustments and adaptations in the way that we're approaching each week in hopes to build to a better performance. And so, look, just like anything in life, courage is the ability to act independent of your feelings. And even when we feel frustrated, we know what right action looks like. And this program is going to take the right action and do the right things the right way, because we know over time that's what's going to help us build a dynamic and successful program.
Earlier this week, you mentioned you kind of gave an update on the quarterback situation, especially with AJ Swan and how he has been available, but still not quite 100%. Is there any update on Swan and then maybe heading into this Georgia game and down the stretch of the season, what you guys might plan to do, especially with the bye week coming up at the
Yeah,
quarterback position?
we'll revisit that during the bye and just kind of take stock of where we are and where we're headed. Right now Ken's been running with the ones this week. AJ's going to be available. I think AJ's looked like he's back in normal form for him this week. So kind of the first time that he in practice, you can tell he's back to playing the way that we know he can play. And that's exciting to me because he's such a talented player. Just, it's not uncommon in a sophomore year to experience a little bit of a setback, particularly when you're battling an injury. And so, for us, as he continues to improve and get healthy and we feel like he gets back into form, then it becomes a conversation with me and Joey. And then obviously the two quarterbacks say, hey, this is the way forward for us. What we feel like does the best job to position our team in a place to win. And I don't want to obviously undermine or undervalue what Ken's brought to the table too, because I think he's played really well, and I've been excited and proud of him for not just the level of leadership he's brought, the energy he's infused. I think all those things were needed. I think he's modeled that in a way that improves everyone in the program. But he's performed well when the ball's been snapped, and I think in a hostile environment last week, we didn't have procedural penalties. We didn't have busted protections. We didn't always create the pocket we wanted, but it wasn't because we didn't ID the front right and all those things were cleaned up. That's because Ken did a great job leading from that position. So happy for him and excited that he's on our team, and we'll let this thing play out, but should have a direction coming out of the bye where we set a course for the rest of the season.
I'm glad you mentioned procedural penalties, Coach, because it has been cleaner, right? And we talked about that a few weeks ago. How do we clean things up, right? How do you get to a point to where you feel like you're playing cleaner, organized football? And that's been the case. Obviously, the result hasn't followed. Results don't always immediately follow, but what is sort of that next step? What's that next improvement? And you don't always want to put a check mark on clean football because knock on wood, but what is that next step, coach? And kind of another thing you guys are keying in on heading into Georgia and then heading into the bye week as well.
Well, offensively, we have to capitalize on opportunities that present over the course of the game, and essentially, like every time we miss out on one. So you look at the Florida game and you think about the fourth down conversion where we fumble the ball. We're in plus territory. We're going to take a lead in that game, in that moment. That's a missed opportunity. You think about the four downs inside the 10-yard line where we end up 4th and 4 with a drop, and the play before had a ball called out of bounds. That's a missed opportunity. You think about the 3rd and 2 that we actually get a pass breakup on, that we rough the quarterback, and going into half, that becomes what would have been 17 to 7 becomes 21 to 7. That's a missed opportunity. Coming out of halftime, you generate a stop defensively, and you get the ball back on offense, and we got it to midfield, but we're not able to go beyond. That's a missed opportunity. And the minute we gave up the score to make it 28 to 7, what do? We turn around and like a handful of plays, a sequence of 2 where we throw an over to Richie Hoskins and then a 7 corner route to Richie Hoskins. We score a touchdown. And so, seizing the opportunities that present themselves to us in the game are important. We're at a point as a program, and this is when I talk about the margins being razor thin, is, some teams can get away with missing out on those chances and finding ways to stay in games or to be back in games, or, to make plays late that give you the chances you need. We're just not at a point right now where we can do that. And so seeing these opportunities for what they are, capitalizing on them when we can, putting pressure on the opponent earlier in the game, those are things that will be features of a Vanderbilt team in this year that will be in tight games late and will find ways to win. And that's kind of what our focus has been. And a lot of that, Billy, has to do with execution. So procedure, operation, all those things are a part of execution, but post-snap, how are we designing for space? How are we designing to eliminate space on defense? Do we have 11 guys on the same page, seeing the picture the same way? And then, post-snap, how do we win early to win late? And offensively, that means I'm getting to my technique faster than the opponent. I'm recognizing the picture that I'm seeing, and again, in lockstep with my partners on the field to block it a certain way or to run the route a certain way, and attacking what the defense given us. On the other side, on our defensive side, it's my eyes in the right place. So I'm taking space early in the down to eliminate the spatial tackle, which, we want to improve upon, but I've got a great way to improve upon that: take away the space. And we can control that. That's execution. We need to teach it better. We need to learn it better. We need to train it better. And that's what our focus has been this week.
You got the Georgia Bulldogs coming to town, Coach. Number 1 team in the country. They're coming off a big win over Kentucky. When you look at Georgia, obviously they're good in all 3 phases. But what stands out the most when you look at Kirby Smart's team?
Well, it is a complete team. I mean, they're first of all extremely talented. That's the first thing, and they create matchup problems, all over the field, and you have to be really skilled in spreading those matchups around and not allowing them to find the ones they want, every snap. It's a physical team. So, in all 3 phases, they play a physical game. They're well coached and they're disciplined. And so they play within structure. You can see the design, and they're on the same page. So it's a this is a good program. They're number 1 in the country. I don't know how many games they won in a row. There's a reason for all that success. for us, it's less of a focus on them and more of a focus on how we find our improvement as we face the challenge of playing against the number one team in the country. And to me, that's why you do it, and we're excited for it. But certainly, this is a good team, and they get the attention they get for a reason, and it's for a good reason.
I see the sweatshirt, Coach. It'll be a little cooler on Saturday, luckily. So Vanderbilt and Georgia coming up Saturday. Coach, thanks again for taking the time.
Always good to be with you.